I'm Tracy Wilson from Positive No in Richmond, Virginia. Once upon a time, I was in a 90s emo band called Dolly Seed, and while we were breaking up in '96, the band Pohgoh was just getting underway in Florida. Susie Ulrey from Pohgoh and I never had the opportunity to share the stage back in the day, but now that we are playing shows together, we thought it would be great to take the opportunity to sit down and get to know each other a little bit better. I knew you were a super fan in high school of indie rock and pop punk and making mixtapes with friends. So what was it that made you want to go from that to taking your first instrument lesson at like a rock school?
Well, I mean, when I was a kid, I was always super into singing and in chorus and stuff, and I think that was kind of just the logical next step for me. I wanted to play music with my best friend, so I asked my dad for a guitar.
What kind of guitar was it?
The first one was a really crappy acoustic guitar, and then I got a Washburn Lion.
Nice.
For my 15th birthday for Christmas that year, and a little PD amp, and I was so excited that it had a chorus effect on it. So the majority of our set for the first 2 or 3 years had lots of chorus pedal on it, which was a little
dreamy.
A little bit much.
How many years did you take a lesson for?
Because we were going to rock school, so I would have 8 guitar lessons. It wasn't anything super complicated. It was just power chords and just learning based on memory, pretty much.
And this is in Tampa, Florida?
Yeah, in Tampa at a music store, and we learned how to play. We played Bad Religion, we played a Pixies cover, we played an R.E.M. cover, I think we played a PJ Harvey cover.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we were just totally, we were more into indie rock, and the other band members were more pop punk, and so we just kind of dove into everything at once. And
how did you know, like, there are people who can play and sing, but they don't know how to write a song? So how did you figure out, A, that you could write a song, and B, come into what would be your voice that everybody knows Pohgoh to have?
I think in the beginning I was probably just, copycatting my favorite song. Like, I wanted to be Julia Hatfield, so.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, there was probably a lot. There might have even been some syllable breaks when I sang some songs, just like she did. But, I mean, I always remember having a sense of melody and being able to pick out harmonies and harmonize to other melodies. And if you ask me how I came up, how I realized I could, or how I still do it, I couldn't tell you. It's just second nature, have an idea for a melody, and then I'll come up with a chord progression that fits, or the other way around, or I have an idea of something I want to write about. That's pretty much how it's always been.
Wow. So that early on.
It's always just been second nature to me. It's almost like second to breathing. It's so important to me. Like, I have to have something. I have to be involved in music some way.
Yeah.
But and we'll talk about this later on, but you have to adapt sometimes.
Right. For your early influences, I know Julien Hatfield and Blake Babies would be in there. Were there other musicians that you were really excited about that inspired you to want to be in a band? Either regionally or, big picture stuff?
When we were teenagers, we were really heavily influenced by Smashing Pumpkins and PJ Harvey, and the Pixies, I think, were probably our biggest, as a band. Oh, and of course, Tsunami.
Yeah.
Go Sailor, Tiger Trap.
All the K-Record stuff. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all the K-Record stuff. So that's where it started, and I think that was better for me too, just what I was able to do technically with my guitar was pretty basic, so it was an opportunity for me to really get comfortable with the idea of playing guitar with more simple arrangements, simpler arrangements.
And so how did you end up finding your way into the more sort of emo post-hardcore world? Because you weren't a Riot girl, right?
I was not a Riot Girl. Riot Girl was a really cool concept as far as we were concerned, but we didn't really have a scene big enough to mobilize as far as I was concerned. There were some record stores in town that just had a really good inventory, and specifically there was one called the Alternative Record Store, and that's where I got Arches of Loaf and Slant Six and Fugazi, and, Jawbox, Strawberry, like all of the, the Jaws, all of the punk rock DIY. That's where I got into all of the, the K records, and I didn't really, surprisingly, ever get into Bikini Kill or Slater Kinney or any of those bands, which is, I feel like it's kind of like a requirement, but we were pretty far removed. And it was the 90s too, so we didn't have access to everything online like we do now. I would get zines, about Riot Girl stuff. I think the record stores were the really the best place for me to get access.
Sure.
And when we started going to specifically this one venue called Stone Lounge, that was the all ages venue. That's where I met Keith. That's where, we started playing with hardcore bands and the emo straight edge scene. It wasn't really called emo then. It was just more straight edge and hardcore stuff. The emo stuff wasn't, quote unquote labeled until until the mid to late 90s. But back then too, like a girly pop punk band could play with a hardcore band on the same bill and on an all ages bill,
So, tell me about the story of Pohgoh. I know you've told it a million times, but pretend like I don't know.
Maybe like 10 times. I don't know. Well, Pohgoh was a band before me. They had another singer. She sang. She didn't play any instruments. She was the front woman. She was a firecracker. She still is. And smart as a whip. Was focusing on college, found out that the boys were playing in another band and quit.
Okay.
And they were supposed to go on tour during the winter, which I don't know why, because that's like the worst time to tour during Christmas break. But they were doing it. And they went on the trip anyway without her. And they were talking about what they wanted to do. They talked about maybe continuing without her, with Matt singing. And then they're like, no, we really want a girl singer. And apparently, supposedly, the story goes, Matt said, I have someone in mind, and Keith said, I have someone in mind, and they said, okay, let's say on the count of 3, and they both said Megan.
Were you singing her songs, or did you write all new songs?
We started over from scratch. And
awesome.
It was pretty much like a completely different band, because I'm not a front woman in that way. She didn't care. She got goofy. She danced, and I am very self-conscious. So even after playing guitar in bands since I was 15, I'm 40 now, I still pick everything apart. So it became a guitar rock band, and the goal was Madder Rose, Superchunk, Velocity Girl.
Dude, Madder Rose doesn't get enough props. Yes. If you don't mind, I'd love to know what it's like as a musician living with MS.
I think music has been a huge gift as far as MS is concerned, because the math involved, the repetition, the melody, the wordplay, I'm like constantly thinking about stuff, and I think that's been really good. I've really had to work super hard in the last 4 to 5 years to get comfortable playing power chords again, and it's still a struggle. And my action is so low on my guitar, it's insane, and I can't really hit the pedals anymore. So I drive because I drive with my hands. I can't trust my feet to do what I want them to do.
Sure.
So I just rest my foot on my distortion pedal, and I'm able to click it on and off that way.
Oh, I was wondering about that. Okay.
Yeah. And then if I need to tune, I can move my foot over, but definitely have to play sitting down. Definitely need a bunch of picks, because sometimes, I mean, you know, I've managed to continue to write one way or another, you know, and I don't care if I have to sit next to someone one day and they plunk out the notes I sing. It'll still happen,
right?
You know, it's just too important to me to not do it.
One thing I've discovered is when I realized that there were maybe more women making music than I knew there to be. Because again, the exposure was either through zines or record stores or friends, and there were these pockets of communities of cool things happening that just wasn't making it to us. But when I made the playlist of all the different women in post-hardcore, I sort of surprised myself, and it's still probably, I'm barely scratching the surface. It was still way more than I knew about at the time. I feel like pretty excited to know that there was this version of us all over the country. We just didn't know about each other.
I know, and I wish we had. But I think the cool thing about Spotify and Facebook and Bandcamp and SoundCloud is that, you know, you don't have to have distro, or, you know, you don't have to get printed up in a zine and get a review, or you don't have to go on tour. You know, you can put up something that you did in your bedroom, and you know, other women can hear what you're doing, and that's what's killer about it. And I think too, or maybe, I don't know if it's just the pocket of music that I situate myself in, but it feels like right now there are so many more women singer-songwriters and just women killing it in bands in general, you know, like,
oh my gosh,
you know, like Phoebe Bridgers, Julien Baker, Lucy Dacus, you know, because I say those off the top of my head because I've been listening to them obsessively all day. But, you know, like Always, Football, etc. You go to the emo, the punk, I mean, the indie. There's women everywhere. Yeah, it's a great thing. You know, it's really exciting.
And I think they're all getting more record deals than ever before. It is a super exciting time. I mean, just almost every show we play has other women on the bill. That did not always happen. In fact, in the 6-week tour I did with Dahlia Seed in '96, there were besides a handful of ladies in the audience, it was a sausage party week after week after week. So just the difference of playing in a band now versus in the early '90s, it's crazy. It's really exciting.